In the modern world of gaming, anyone who has at least a little bit of awareness for the Sonic franchise could probably name a good handful of its characters. But anyone who only knows Knuckles the Echidna as Sonic's hard-headed, hard-fisted friend doesn't remember how it all began. If you ask any long-time Sega fans, they would tell you that it all began with a game called Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Or Sonic and Knuckles. Or maybe Sonic 3 and Knuckles. In order to get everyone on the same page, let me explain a little bit of Sonic history. After the record-breaking success of the first two Sonic the Hedgehog games, Sega quickly began work on multiple follow-up titles. One team was split off to create the Sonic Spinball game, while another was set to produce the third official Sonic title. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and its peripheral/sequel Sonic and Knuckles were both meant to be one single release, but the ultimate vision of the game wouldn't fit onto a single Genesis cartridge at the time. Additionally, the project was already facing time constraints due to a dramatic shift in its overall design, originally conceived as an isometric game like Sonic 3D Blast. Splitting the full experience onto two cartridges, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 as well as Sonic and Knuckles, Sega created an interesting and replayable experience for Sonic fans with the ultimate conclusion to the original Sonic trilogy. The independent cartridge for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was not only a completely suitable follow-up to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, with 6 zones and several new mechanics, but the Sonic and Knuckles add-on contained what amounted to its own standalone Sonic game, with 8 more unique zones and plenty of replayability. This added value is mostly due to the fact that the Sonic & Knuckles adapter could be used with either Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 to let players control Knuckles the Echidna in either of those games with its revolutionary lock-on technology. Anyway, with all of that cleared up, I'll be discussing all of the above today, considering its entirety to be the complete package as Sega originally intended. With that in mind, let's figure out what's so great about Sonic 3 and Knuckles. At the beginning of the third Sonic game, Knuckles the Echidna is introduced as an antagonist who has been tricked by Dr. Robotnik into defending the Chaos Emeralds against Sonic and Tails. Knuckles is the last remaining descendant of a lost civilization of guardians of the Chaos Emeralds on the floating island, and, thinking that Sonic is collecting these powerful gems out of greed, appears as a boss in several stages to stop him. However, thanks to the Sonic and Knuckles add-on, players not only have the option to play these levels as Sonic, Tails, or both of them, but they can also fill the shoes of this vastly different new character as well. The contrast of blue and red characters has been a huge indicator of good guys and bad guys in video games for a very long time. The use of it between Sonic as the hero we've known him to be, and Knuckles as the new anti-hero antagonist that he's introduced as, is clearly conveyed and fulfilled by this familiar color trope. Not to mention, this fulfills the primary color trifecta of main characters in the Sonic series with blue, yellow, and red. The addition of Knuckles as an optional protagonist with the right cartridge gave players more of an opportunity to have favorite characters in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, like choosing your go-to character in a Mario game or enjoying the presence of specific squad mates in Star Fox. Tails felt more like the younger sibling character, being notably younger than Sonic and seemingly gentler and less gung-ho, but Knuckles has that same determined expression as Sonic, as well as his own story and unique abilities. In a stark difference from Sonic's speedy style, Knuckles can break certain walls and glide through the air. He can even destroy enemies in midair with his outstretched fists. If his glide continues all the way to a vertical surface, he can even climb that wall, dramatically expanding player freedom. Playing as Knuckles is also meant to make players want to explore these large levels even more, especially with his notable climbing ability. With him being the guardian of the Chaos Emeralds, it makes sense that reaching the special zones would be easier for him. If you think about the areas you were unable to go as Sonic, you'll find whole new benefits and options while playing as Knuckles. The extra abilities given to our newest character seem like they would make him far easier, as if he just played like Sonic but could glide and climb walls, but he actually feels completely different from Sonic. He certainly doesn't feel as fast, but he still gets around efficiently and in interesting ways. These extra abilities make this possible by actually providing handicaps to players who have been used to playing as Sonic for up to 5 games at this point. If the player does stick to what they're used to, they'll find some new tricks in Sonic's arsenal as well. For instance, instead of a glide, Sonic can now generate a shield for a very brief moment. Speaking of shields, the collectible defenses have also been updated. Instead of the typical one-hit shield from the last two games, there are now 3 types of elemental shields: flame, water, and lightning. Each shield protects from certain types of attacks and grants other bonuses, like the ability to dash, breathe underwater, or magnetize nearby rings to the player. The game also features a really fun and unexpected repelling mechanic, of all things. Most action games that I can think of don't even have a repelling mechanic that's as satisfying as the little one found in Sonic 3. The ability to move forwards and backwards as much as you'd like in a side-scroller perspective is actually made possible thanks to the player's dependency on collecting rings for health and lives. Knowing the player would pick up any rings that were easily in their path, Sega's developers created multifaceted stages that double back on themselves with their own collectibles scattered around to convey that the player hasn't explored those areas yet. Even if they've lost track of where they're headed, the player could still navigate smoothly around by referring to the breadcrumbs that are the level's collectible rings, as a sign of where they have and haven't been. The classic Sonic games for the Genesis and Mega Drive certainly had some of the most impressive and historic aesthetic presentations for 16-bit technology, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles still managed to put both prior Sonic titles to shame. The culmination of the original Genesis trilogy featured some of the most enjoyable level designs, music, and boss fights that I've ever seen in a platformer to this day. Providing a personal favorite stage as an example, Sandopolis Zone is an S-tier video game level altogether. The boss fights, the visual effects, it all works really well as a distinct Sonic world. The contrast of Sonic on a bright yellow background also works really well. The block pushing mechanic was actually put to good use too, unlike in the first Sonic game where you only have to push a block about a maximum of 2 feet or so only a couple of times in the whole game. The combination of declining light levels and the ghost enemies in Sandopolis' second act is a great way to increase difficulty as a level's puzzles become more difficult by incorporating a whole new timer system. Managing to get between each point to reset said timer becomes challenging in the face of an ever-present threat that doesn't inhibit your movement, but creates a stressful environment and punishes you if certain conditions aren't met. To make sure this didn't get annoying, most enemies that you would expect to come across as you run through the level have been removed, leaving a small number to really get in your way, but otherwise limit the stage to environmental obstacles. As for another impressive level, the Lava Reef Act 2 is still an A-tier stage as well, despite the boss fight that overstates its welcome into an unexpected degree of difficulty. The chase with Robotnik is great, and so is the multi-stage boss fight. The whole time I was playing it, it felt like it was a modern game because of how good everything looked and felt. It really makes me wonder why Sega didn't stick with 2D platformers a la New Super Mario Bros. And just adjust and grow with the times. The boss fights in both of Sonic 3's cartridges are far more interesting than previous Sonic adventures, both visually and mechanically speaking. There's a lot more variation than just jumping between platforms and avoiding a repetitive threat that Robotnik or his machines throw your way. Robotnik isn't present in every boss fight anymore either. There are now robot mini-bosses at the end of Act 1, with Robotnik making his appearance in Act 2. The mini-bosses feel more like robot masters from Mega Man with specific designs and ways to beat them now, and it's far more enjoyable than just hitting Eggman's hovercraft over and over again. Some of the bosses change depending on whether or not the player is controlling Sonic or Knuckles, with the levels that typically featured Knuckles as an antagonist obviously having their own replacements. Metal Sonic, who appears as a boss in both characters' campaigns, feels like the fixed version of his fight from Sonic 2. He moves quickly and you have to respond quickly. Nothing he does is uncharacteristic of a villain based after Sonic himself, trying to use his spin attack and sharp quills to damage his opponent and keep himself safe. He has distinct patterns, but you have to react quickly enough to stay on your toes to keep track of his last-second changes to make an attack. The special stages in Sonic 3 and Knuckles are no longer accessed at checkpoints, but are now hidden in secret rooms in each stage. These bonus stages, while arguably more difficult than those found in Sonic 2, were actually much more feasible for solo players, since you didn't have to try to compensate for Tails losing some of your rings and costing you a Chaos Emerald. The previous method for activating special stages, collecting a certain number of rings and reaching a checkpoint, now sends the player to one of 2 new bonus stages. The player can't collect a Chaos Emerald from here, but they can still collect bonuses such as extra lives or shields. In a return to the way it was done in the first Sonic game, 50 rings in a bonus stage will give you a continue, and 100 rings still gets you an extra life. Luckily, that isn't as necessary to fuss about anymore because the game features several save slots, as well as the ability to restart from any previously reached stage. This greatly increased accessibility for players who couldn't treat this like an arcade game and play through in a single run, especially in consideration of this title's much larger levels. Visually and technically speaking, this is one of those games that, especially looking back, shocks you at the realization that it utilizes the same hardware as its predecessors. The first Sonic the Hedgehog as well as the complete Sonic 3 and Knuckles experience were both released on the Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive in Europe. The boundaries of the system's limits and abilities were far better understood and capitalized upon by the time Sega got to this entry in the Sonic franchise. It feels like a culmination of many previously attempted concepts that were finally polished into their completed visions. If I hadn't played the Sonic and Knuckles expansion to Sonic 3 yet, you could have updated the graphics a tiniest bit and then sold it to me as a modern reboot of the Sonic franchise and I wouldn't have known the difference. Most notably, because the gameplay itself has aged so well that it doesn't feel like a game from the 90s, or a virtually defunct competitor of the console gaming competition. Even a lot of the early Mario games can still feel clunky or slippery in one way or another. The same can be said for so many entries of classic platforming franchises like Crash Bandicoot or Kirby. They all have great entries that are still enjoyable to this day for so many reasons, but I seldom experience a retro game that plays as well as and with such a modern feeling as Sonic and Knuckles. The development team focused on presenting a much larger story and, of course, more exciting gameplay than had ever been experienced in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, and created stages 3 times larger than Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in order to convey the grandeur of the Sonic world that much more. The greatly expanded levels, interesting new characters, and obscene degree of exploration and replayability for a platforming title was monumental at the time of release. That is what's so great about Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of What's So Great About Gaming, as we explored the legacy of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Want to see some bonus content? Maybe support the creation of these videos? If so, check out the What's So Great Discord, Twitch, or Patreon. Links for all of those are in the description. If you want to hear what's great about another game, check out the link to our last episode, Pokemon Legends Arceus, on screen or in the description. And please take the time to subscribe to be involved in the discussions here. Thanks again for watching. Now go play a great game. We'll see you next time.